that Arsenal were set to bid again, and that is still the expectation. This evening, Newcastle are waiting for that formal direct contact, and the feeling is that the number will be in and around £70 million, possibly with some add-ons on top. And then it's going to be down to Newcastle. My expectation is that anything starting with a 7 might be difficult to get done. Let's also see how Bruno Guimaraes reacts to a expected bid. And this is against the backdrop where Newcastle are insisting radio silence, and Arsenal sources say any bid would effectively be their third, 55, 65, and now at least £70 million. And again, from Arsenal's point of view, they're being very disciplined in the market. Newcastle don't want to sell. There probably is a number in mind where they might be persuaded to at least consider it. But it's not just about the money, is it? It's also whether Newcastle United are prepared to lose their talisman off the back of Sandro Tonali going to Spurs. And then added to all of this is Aladji Bamba, an excellent defensive midfielder who's going to come in for €40 million, so about £34 million from Monaco. And formalities are already underway to finalise that deal. The player's already in Newcastle. Newcastle sources insisted this morning that we shouldn't read into a midfield arrival as Guimaraes is suddenly free to leave. So I think Newcastle are quite frustrated by Arsenal's approach, but at the end of the day, maybe eventually money and the player's desire could still talk.
Ben, it feels a bit of a strange one, the way this move's been reported. As you say, there are Newcastle-based journalists saying there's been no contact. It's all been intermediaries, agents. No one's actually picked up the phone to Newcastle. People on the Arsenal side seem to be insistent, no, there have been bids in there. What's going on? Is it PR from one club trying to not look like they're selling their captain willingly? Why is there so much dispute over whether a bid's been made or not?
It's just games, and it's how Andrea Berta operates. There's other intermediaries and high-profile agents that are involved. And sometimes these deals, as with Elliot Anderson to Manchester City or Morgan Rogers to Chelsea, also take place at an ownership level, because it's not just about is there a number that Bruno Guimaraes could be sold for. It's also about will Newcastle United's owners at a project level, at a strategy level, at an optics level, allow this kind of transfer to be sanctioned, and on what kind of timing. So it's not as simple as two sporting directors just holding a conversation, and a lot of it is semantics. So Newcastle are well within their rights to say no direct bid, but that doesn't mean there hasn't been a bid. Newcastle are well within their rights to say they're frustrated and they'll turn certain numbers away, but that's part of the games that go on, because things sometimes that get out in the media can be a message at the same time to either buyer or seller. And it's not to say we as journalists are caught in the middle, because we put scrutiny on all information and we go to all sides. So if we publish it, we believe it, but it can simultaneously be true and a message. So if Arsenal are putting numbers out there and they're only verbal offers, maybe Newcastle say they weren't offers at all. You just chucked around some numbers and walked away. And similarly, if Newcastle are putting out that they would not accept an offer at a certain number, then if that preempts a bid, it can simultaneously be true and send a message to Arsenal. Because in an ideal world, Newcastle would love it if there was zero interest in Bruno Guimaraes and then he stays. It's not quite like Morgan Rogers, where deep down a sale helped Villa financially and to reinvest in the market, even though they loved Morgan Rogers. With Bruno Guimaraes, there's zero doubt. If Newcastle United could jump in a time machine and wake up a minute after the deadline had passed and they've still got Bruno Guimaraes, they'll be delighted. The challenge is Arsenal are pushing and the player wants the move.
Oh, find me that time machine, Ben, please. Please find it. What about these links between Maxence Lacroix and Chelsea that have been going around? How close could that one be?
Yeah, my understanding is this deal is really close now, and again has partly involved owners on both sides as well. It's expected to be north of the £52 million that saw Jan-Paul van Hecke move from Brighton to Spurs. The reason why I mention that is because it was a high fee for a player that only had 1 year left on his contract, and Max Lacroix has got 3 years left on his deal. So Palace are well within their rights to be seeking more than that particular transfer. And some of this has been down to, can Palace find another centre-back? In addition, can they get the valuation that they are looking for in an inflated market? And we can now say that all things are starting to move on this particular deal. In particular, Crystal Palace are in talks to sign Krislane Matsima, who plays as a centre-back at the moment for Augsburg. And that, according to my information, will fully unlock this Max Lacroix deal. But regardless of that particular transfer, the clubs have got really close now to agreeing a package anyway. And in those talks, Chelsea have offered Axel Disasi to Crystal Palace too. They value the player at £25 million plus add-ons, but at this stage, I'm told that Palace have got other targets in mind.
Ben, brilliant stuff as always. Thank you very much indeed, mate.
Thanks a lot.